the Rake, everyone. We have some breaking news today. The WSOP has announced that there will be a World Series this year. They're going to have a fall schedule, which they announced on April Fool's Day, as you should do when you're announcing the most important thing that your company has done in a year.
Poker's apex predator. Is it Phil Hellmuth? Is it Bryn Kenney? No, it's not.
And big call out this week of a known scumbag in poker, Phil Galfond? Is that right?
And now a brief message from our sponsors at Run It Once. Leaderboards are back at Run It Once Poker. From now until April 11th, we're running both weekday and weekend leaderboards for various stakes in No Limit Hold'em, Pot Limit Omaha, and SNG Select. Just choose your preferred game and stake and compete for one of our cash prizes. Even if you don't make it on the board, all players are eligible for cash rewards thanks to our added leaderboard booster. For full details, head to once.run/leaderboards. And as always, if you're looking to improve your game, head on over to Run It Once Training, where you'll find the largest library of high-quality poker training content on the web, created by some of the greatest minds in the game, including Run It Once founder, Phil Galfond. Sign up today at once.run/learn and you'll get free access to 3 elite videos from Phil and fellow high-stakes legends Ben Solsky and Jason Kuhn. And now it's time for The Rake with your hosts, Jamie Kerstetter and Ben Wilinofsky.
Getting back to our regular scheduled podcast, what are your thoughts about there being an actual WSOP this year now that vaccinations have rolled out?
I think it's going to pop off. I think this World Series is going to be incredible. We might break a record for biggest ever because, I know the economy has been tanked, but I feel like the economy hasn't been tanked for the kind of people that drop 10K on a poker tournament anyways. And everyone's desperate to get out of their house. Like if it is safe by then, if the vaccines, and it looks like the US is on pace to be at herd immunity by this time, I think it's going to be wild. Also, I'm super, I've barely gone to Vegas because the summer in Vancouver where I live is beautiful and the summer in Vegas is absolutely brutal. But to get out of here in like late October, November, which is the rainy season for us, where it's just gray for 160 days in a row, and go down to Vegas in the desert where it's sunny and beautiful, I think like that time of year is way better for visitors to Vegas. I think basically all of the poker tournaments I've ever seen have always been in the off season because I guess they get big hotel deals, or that's when they make deals with the hotels because they need to fill those spaces up.
Yeah, because it's a way to draw people in. Degrees.
Yeah, so like they have that in Vegas in the summer, EPT Barcelona's in August. Like it's always low season for travel when they host these things usually. So having it during a time when it's actually nice to be in Vegas, I think is great, and then we'll actually get to enjoy our summers. I don't know. My first World Series, I spent 2 whole months in Vegas. It was over 100 degrees the whole time. I walked 30 minutes to the Strip a bunch of times.
Uphill both ways?
Yeah. And showing up dehydrated and sunburned. And I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, we made a Doug Polk video a while back where it was documenting the struggle of the tournament grinder who has to park in the very corner of the Rio parking lot and the many trials and tribulations that he faced along the way before approaching the Rio steps.
Dehydrated. You gotta dodge 4 people offering you a joint, and you gotta dodge a bunch of people who want to tell you a bad beat. And,
yes. It's basically brutal.
So, my experience in Vegas is a little different because nobody's walking off the Strip. And nobody's, walking through the Rio parking lot is its own hazard, but walking off Strip it's like, for those of you who haven't been and stayed off Strip, it's a different Vegas. like Vegas is two cities. Like the Strip is this like booming, blossoming, happening place. Maybe less so than Rio, but in general, like the Strip is. Yeah, the Rio's kind of, it's not quite the Strip, but Vegas, the rest of Vegas is basically just like any downtrodden small town America. It's like you walk down the street, it's like auto body shop, like bail bonds, payday loans, and like 3 closed businesses. It's ugly. Like I mean, like it's an ugly part of. Sorry. No, you live in like one of those. You live in one of those, like manicured gated communities
we're fancy
where they, you need like 3 passwords to get in. Can I have the password next time I come visit? Like I was stuck outside the gate for.
I know we don't allow riffraff. It's part of the HOA deal.
Okay, yeah, I'm bad for property values.
Poker players have already been scheming for how do we continue to have it in the fall. We haven't even had it in the fall yet, but everyone just knows intuitively it would be better not to have it.
Just show up, people. Like if they get 10K for the main event, like 10,000 people, if people actually show up, they're gonna be like, oh, well, we can't change this now. This is the best numbers we've ever done. Show up, play, put money through the casino, go to the restaurants, buy a bunch of food that you don't even want to eat. Like, just if they do numbers, it will be back. That's the thing.
Yes. Suck it up. Buy your $7 bananas at the poker kitchen. We just need this to continue because I don't know. Selfishly, I would like to not be in Vegas for 115-degree weather. I'd like to go home, go to the Jersey Shore, see Snooki and the situation and all those people.
How are they doing, by the way? I haven't heard from them in a while.
They're doing fine. Yeah, I'm going to see them this summer.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be tough for WSOP to like crunch those numbers though, because they're not going to really know if the numbers are good.
Don't explain to them why this might not be like fall related. Just shut up, Jamie. Shut up. Don't give them any ideas. If if they see a big cash infusion in the fall, it's because of the fall.
I'm sure they're watching this pod for advice on how to run their WSOP. What else is I going to say? There's one other thing about this topic. Oh, yeah. They announced it on April Fool's Day. So everyone was like, is this for real? They even acknowledged in the tweet that we'll put up that, oh, this is no joke, guys. Is it possible that this is the worst joke of all time?
Either that or they're just like giving themselves plausible deniability for when they pull the series because, I don't know, the 4th wave of COVID hits and it's like turning everyone into zombies or something. But yeah. I'm super excited. I might even come to Vegas to play poker, which I haven't done in like, I can't remember when the last time I played the main event is. It's probably been like 4 or 5 years or something. Just because I would rather be home when it's beautiful and this is one of the top places to live. I survive the rainy season just so I can have my summers here. I'm not about to take off and torch all that value because that's the only reason to live here, really. It's when it's nice. Phil Hellmuth declared himself poker's apex predator.
To me, that's apex predator shit, bro.
In a heads-up duel with another old man. I feel a little bad watching, like, it's kind of like watching a fight at the old folks' home. Where like you can kind of tell that everyone's not all there and it's like they're past their primes a little bit, but lots of people getting in the mix, lining up, trying to get a piece of Phil Hellmuth after watching this performance, where I would be remiss to say he was a 20-1 dog heads up in chips and came back, so he did back it up, I guess. I don't know, because there's no variance in poker. I don't know. The way people, I don't understand the way he views poker. Like, I don't understand taking that declaration serious. Like, does he take that declaration seriously? Is it all a show? I don't know him. I don't know what's going through his head. I don't know which one's more frightening, if he's like able to do this as like a brand thing or if he's like genuinely believes that he's the best of all time because he can win a sit and go from down 20-1 in chips.
Well, listen, I know that there are many beings that fear him as an apex predator. Almost every Sour Patch Kid in the land.
They tell stories. Their life. They tell stories around the Sour Patch campfires. And
did you see him scarf those down?
I didn't. If I were one of them, I'd care. Why would I care? Like I don't. I guess it's my job to talk about what's going on in poker, but like I just can't imagine sitting down for a Negreanu Phil Hellmuth heads-up match, unless I was like wanted to bet the match in the future. If I wanted
there's some comedy. There's some comedic value to this match. I watched some of the interview with Shulman, and that's very well worth it. Just seeing Shulman's face and like freezing on that moment where it's almost like that record scratch. Like that moment of realization, or sort of like a Jim from The Office.
Seeing Shulman's face is always worth it. He's just a pretty man, but I don't know. Like it's too, I don't know. I can't watch poker anymore. It's just so uninteresting unless I have a financial investment in it. Like I don't even watch the main event anymore. Yeah, so people watching this podcast, if you are a fan of poker, you should feel bad about your low-class choices, I guess. I don't know. I like playing. I like playing games, but I don't really like.
Well, I think part of what makes this less watchable, if you're not into either player, if you're not looking for some of the comedy, I mean, the Apex Predator shit was comedic. I thought it was funny. Mostly because of what you said, like you can't tell how much is serious and how much of it is him being a character. And it's like sort of hilarious to me either way. Because you're just like, did he plan that line? Did he come there being like, I am going to declare that I'm Apex Predator of poker? Because it sounds
way
like
funnier if that's just like the first thing that came to his mind.
He thought of. Yeah, but it's like, that's more of a Jungle Man quote than a Phil Hellmuth quote. And if Jungle Man said it, I'd be like, oh, he believes it. Like he's like out there hunting his prey all the time.
In the jungle, right? He's the jungle's apex predator.
Exactly. I think part of what makes it less watchable is that like everyone who plays poker knows that it's a high variance kind of thing where like it doesn't really prove anything. And it's not like the old challenges.
That's not true. There's lots of people that play poker that have no idea. And like, they're like, this is the heads up match to determine who is the best old man in poker.
All right. I'm trying to agree with you. So you're going to need to shut up for a moment. I'm saying why it's not the most watchable event of all time. And like it is the old days, there'd be like heads up for rolls. And you actually knew that if it happened, like one of the players was going to be financially ruined and it was going to be horrible for them. And now when we have heads up matches, it's like they get hyped, like the Fedor and Limitless one where it like gets so hyped, but like the person is creating this fake hype that is very not credible. And then with this, it's like, oh my God, two rich guys are going to play this event. And like one of them is going to lose 0.5% of their wealth. And you should care about this. It's very important to everyone that like one of these guys is going to be declared the best of the two guys that played that day in an event where like 55% of the time the best player is going to win. It's like, I don't know.
I agree. We want blood and broken humans. That's like what makes poker interesting is when the stakes really matter. Like either of these guys can lose this match and it's just like a roll. I mean, actually, maybe the stakes are high emotionally for these guys because they'll never stop fucking hearing about it. Whoever wins this match is never going to stop talking about it, and the other guy will never get to stop hearing about it.
Yeah.
So maybe that does matter a little bit, but poker is only an interesting game when the money's interesting. Anyone who's played play money poker realizes that.
Yeah.
When the stakes matter, and I can't possibly get invested in these stakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The same thing happened with the Doug and Bean Eggs match. Like everyone was pretty fired up. There are a lot of people who were looking forward to the match. And then when they played their first few hundred hands heads up and they were nice to each other, it's like, why did we lower the stakes so much? Like we thought this was going to be a thing where they needle each other forever, where someone cries or someone's like devastated. And then they're like, hey, we get along. And we're like, what? Like that kind of, I don't know. It kind of kills it. I need to see people playing heads up for rolls like they used to. And I'm willing to play someone heads up for rolls. I hear Bryn Kenney's been calling some people out. So maybe we'll play heads up for my roll, which is like a few $100s.
I mean, I was just thinking that heads up for rolls, he would probably be giving you odds, but I don't know where Bryn is in the Busto Robusto cycle right now. I mean, you might be giving him odds on, like, you could win a heads up for rolls with Bryn and be down money. I have no idea where he is in his life cycle of running it up and running it back down at this point.
It seems in one of the long threads where he was challenging a bunch of people that came out recently, he said he's not with GG anymore, that he quit working with them. So I'm not really sure what's going on. I don't know if we'll get the backstory to that.
Yeah, I had no idea about the details of their arrangement or whatever, whatever financial incentives he had with GG to run their player pool. But yeah, I mean, Bryn decided to call out a bunch of people recently. He came after Phil for playing heads up, and he wants, I guess, 2,000, 4,000, I guess. So if you want blood in the streets, Bryn's a good guy. Like, somebody can get hurt playing with Bryn because he's willing to play. He's one of the guys who's willing to play for all of it. So
do you think that's true? Because reading through it, I know that he's had Bankroll on the table multiple times according to his own stories, and like he basically, after winning the Triton tournament, he admitted that he was basically stretched extremely thin, and talked about it. And I feel like most people don't really want to talk about it when they are overly invested or do some like very degenerate behavior. I feel like it's like he wears it like a badge of honor, what sort of how Berkey did, where he was like, oh, I was all in that 300K buy, and you're like, whoa. Do you think that any of these challenges are really going to happen? Like when he's challenging Phil Galfond, he also implied that Phil will only play on his own site, making it sound like Phil is kind of shady, only wanting to play Run It Once. But Phil played on Party.
Phil's played challenges.
Phil played on WSOP. Yeah, so I don't really understand that. But do you think that match could actually end up happening, or do you think that the match that he wanted to crossbook with Ike in anything? Do you think any of these are actually going to happen?
I mean, Ike accepted his challenge to crossbook, and then he popped off some stuff about how Ike should stick to online, where he has more information available, which I guess is like a shot implying Ike's using RTA or something. It's so hard for me to handicap whether these things are going to happen. Obviously, Bryn is one of the guys who is willing to put it all on the line, and that makes poker fun and interesting. I don't know if I have a feeling Ike wouldn't be comfortable. I don't want to put words in Ike's mouth. I mean, Ike said he would take the action, so maybe we'll get some of that. But I feel like when crossbooks actually happen, we don't really get to know. Like, it's just people getting it quietly, and the business gets done on the side or behind the curtain. So even if Ike and Bryn are playing in something, no one's going to get them to admit that there's a crossbook going on, or the action's going to be behind the curtain. So it's not, there might be blood, but we'll never see it.
I mean, that's a good point, but that's pretty disappointing. You think, I know that Ike isn't going to be talking too much about it if he has crossbooks going on. You don't think Bryn would? I feel like Bryn might
Bryn will talk about it if he wins.
Yeah. Okay.
He'll pop off if he wins, but I feel like he's probably going to keep it quiet if he's goes not bust over, but puts a huge chunk up and loses a tie. I don't know. But when was the last time you heard about a giant crossbook going on? When was the last time it was like a public news of a crossbook, other than Bank of Timex or Poker Shares or whatever they're calling it now? That's basically the place where people get action and crossbook publicly. And yeah, I feel like this kind of stuff happens at high stakes. Maybe less than it used to, but there's still reasonable frequency of people taking action against each other, and it's just never ever public. I don't know if could be tax reasons, could be whatever. People just want to keep it on the down low.
Well, I think it's when someone finds a really good spot for their money, they don't want to share with other people that spot exists.
That's part of it too. Like if someone's on social media, like talking shit about the action they're getting, I mean, like there's a few layers there. It's not just letting people know the spot exists. It's also like putting someone on blast, like, ha ha ha, I think this guy's a fish. That's going to get you less action because people don't want, especially if it's someone like Bryn, like nobody wants to be publicly known as someone that Bryn or Ike or Phil thinks is a fish, because that's going to hurt their capacity to do business in the future. That's going to influence someone else who might buy a piece of their action, right? There's some people who are going to respect Bryn's opinion. Some people are going to respect Phil's opinion. Some people are going to respect Ike's opinion, even if there's a disagreement. And they're going to take that information if it's public, and it's going to influence their decisions. So yeah, Bryn's a good guy to get in the mix for these heads-up challenges. I would love to see Bryn playing someone super nosebleed stakes, and knowing that like there's real risk on the line. I think that makes poker interesting and exciting as a viewer. I might even tune into it. I don't know.
I think that's what made high stakes poker extremely watchable back in the day, that you really could feel that people were not obsessed with bankroll management at the time. Like, I think maybe there weren't even great guidelines out for like how much of your role you should be playing with at any one time. It was evidenced by the fact that there were times people who were the fish at the table would say, oh, can I like get some money on credit, or will anyone loan me whatever? And everyone kind of freezes up, not wanting to give the fish a loan. Like, that's how extended these people were. Like, that there was a notable time where Jamie Gold had busted a certain number of times, did not have a reload available, and it was like, oh, hey, will anyone spot me? And people are just all looking around each other like, I hope someone else spots him.
I feel like that has more to do with Jamie Gold than it has to do with
I like him now, so I think he's like completely changed, but so I don't want to trash him. But at the time, I'm just saying though, fine. Like, that's how afraid people were though of like people having their bankroll on the table and people free rolling others and things like that. And I don't know, I feel like that probably doesn't happen as much now because people have written extensively, talked extensively on pods. Like, some of the best players in the world have talked about bankroll management, about not having more than like 2% of your money invested in any one tournament, and like to be conservative, having 50 buy-ins to a cash game or whatever. I don't think it happens anymore now, where you're watching a guy with like his brick of cash on the table being like, that might be all of it. That might be like his kid's college fund. I'm glad that people are not going crazy anymore, but for the entertainment value, it's like
you're like 80% glad, right?
I'm glad their lives are not being ruined. But also it's more entertaining when there's people with skin in the game, where like they are caring so much, like that they wear their heart on their sleeve.
I mean, like, let's be real. Nobody would be watching that high stakes poker lineup if they were playing $1, $2 blinds, right?
Which is essentially what we were just watching Negreanu and Hellmuth play against each other.
Yeah, in terms of how much the money actually means to them. Like, whoever loses, their life isn't going to change on a daily basis, even one bit. It's not like Negreanu is going to lose that money and can be like, oh boy, I really wanted to go out for a nice $400 steak in Vegas tonight, but after that,
he goes out for steaks a lot. I heard.
Oh right, yeah. Whatever. You know what I mean. Like,
do you think he went home and like absolutely like punished some mushrooms? Like, he's just like apex predator of the garden.
I don't. Yeah, probably. And like, mushrooms would be the one to pick because they have like little. I feel like they have more neural systems. Like, you could actually hurt a mushroom, maybe.
Oh my god!
Not like a lettuce leaf. Lettuce leaf is giving you nothing, but like a mushroom, you could get a tiny scream out of if you did it right.
There's that quote. It's like, I'm not vegan because I love animals. I'm vegan because I hate vegetables.
Yeah, I mean, whatever motivates you to do good in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, my point is just, these guys aren't. When they lose this money, it's not going to change their daily behavior one bit. It's not going to move the needle. So it doesn't matter. Like, what have you really lost?
Yeah.
And when money gets to that point where it's just like numbers on a screen and your life isn't any different, then why bother?
Yep. Speaking of why bother, I wanted to just do this little uncomfortable performance review that we're going to be doing every quarter if another quarter exists in the future.
I wasn't told there would be a performance review.
I think it's better to just spring it on you, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. How is my performance?
I'm sure you've heard this from many women, but not great. So we want to go through some YouTube comments, some Twitter comments, and I would like to just let everyone review your performance. You know, it's been a tough road losing Marley to PokerStars. And, you know, we did the best we could. We found the first guy under a bridge, asked him if he'd like to do a podcast, and here we have Ben. So let's just go through a couple of the more interesting comments that we've gotten so far. I had to wade through just thousands of comments that talked about your voice. So they're wondering if there's any way that you could talk in a lower, more manly tone like Marley did.
I just, it's my voice, guys. Like I was born with this voice. I can't do anything about my dulcet, seductive tones. I don't know what you want from me. Do I need a voice coach to keep this job? Like what's going on here?
There's a few things you need to change to keep this job, but yeah, we'll just continue. Okay, so Poker Pro 86 on YouTube says, too much estrogen on this podcast anymore. Unwatchable. LOL. Interesting that we had to replace Marley with you, and then he complained that there's too much estrogen. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, he sounds like the kind of guy who eats his sushi with ketchup because he's afraid that soy sauce is going to give him tits. I don't. Do these people know what estrogen is or how it works?
You're getting a bit defensive. These are very constructive comments that I feel like if you internalize them a little bit more would help you in your future possible performance on this podcast.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
Day. Okay, Kent Brooks a month ago says, Marley, that is all.
Is that a review of my performance?
I mean, listen, you're not learning very much from this, and I feel like you're not trying to.
That's how I approach life.
What do we have next? We already covered the voice thing. Steve Soph, 2 months ago. Outstanding guest. Don't remember which guest he was talking about. He said, certainly appreciate all the takes, especially the future of online poker in the US. First impressions. More Jamie, less Ben. I think he's got a point there. But who likes change? No one. Do you consider filling Marley's empty spot with a woman or going it alone? I'm just biased as one of your biggest fans. I mean, I think the Steve guy says, I think he's onto something. I think he seems pretty smart. Any comments?
Yeah, you can do this alone if you want. I mean, I don't need to get out of bed for this. Trying to do you a fucking favor here, Jamie, but...
All right. Okay. Well, what else we got? We got some... Oh, okay. This is talking about Angry Pulla first. Veronica Burrell said, how sad a world we live in that people felt so bad for this skank they're giving her handouts. And Baby Bink says that Ben Wilinofsky is not a skank. Care to comment on that?
You don't know me, Baby Binks. You don't know me at all. Skank if I want to.
And then Carl on February 7th said the sheer volume of space between his cheeks and his teeth is impressive.
That's thank you. I'm glad to make an impression.
I mean, I think that's the first person who said that they're impressed with you. So I feel like
ever, actually, not just podcast specific.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll take what I can get. All right, well, cheek to teeth space is my... All right, I'm going to really lean into that. I'm going to try and...
This is great. I think that... All right, so you got one positive comment. I feel like the one positive comment will buy you one additional podcast. And then, I don't know. I guess we'll reevaluate after that one. Probably.
Oh, we're going to do another one of these after the next podcast. Okay. When is it your turn in the performance review chair, Jamie? I got some stuff to get off my chest too.
Go ahead, let it rip.
Okay, I was bluffing. I don't have anything to get off my chest. You're perfect. Never change.
Sweet. Well, I think that's pretty much all we have for you guys today.
Yeah, real thin pickings this week, guys. Just a few insults. I mean, can you guys step up your game a little bit in the YouTube comments?
The nastier the comments, the more likely that I'm going to read them to Ben.
Yeah, you guys really need to work on your cruelty level. Like, I don't give a shit about my voice, just like I don't give a shit about my huge, beautiful penis. I didn't do anything to it. It's like, it's just a part, like there's no shame in something you can't control. I control my behavior and I control how I act towards others. And that's what I'm proud of, not the penis. And I'm not ashamed of the voice. That's all for the Rake this week, folks. Please come back next week or I'm going to be out of a job.